Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Alternative Cycling Network, where we give you our unfiltered hot takes on the bike industry. And I'm one of your hosts, Russ from Pathless Pedal, and we've got Mike from Locked In, and Eric from Spindat.
Hi.
Needed a freeze frame there.
Nice. All right, so the theme of today's show is bike YouTubers exposed, and this is kind of a rehash a little bit of our very first episode together, but a lot has changed. I feel like we've gelled as a group, and we've learned lots of things about doing the YouTubes, and things have changed, right?
Oh yeah,
some things.
Yeah,
so
well,
I think we're gonna
remember what I posted last week. So
that has not changed.
Eric's gonna start now, so he's ready for it when it's his turn. Got it. He's learned he's got to start about 5 minutes early. Yeah.
Nice. So in today's episode, we're gonna talk about what it's like to be a bike YouTuber for the first half, and then give you guys tips on if we were to start over again, maybe what we would do differently, and just general advice for people that want to do the bike YouTube thing. Because I've been seeing a lot more bike YouTubers go online. How about you guys?
Definitely.
It's an interesting mix of folks too.
it seems like it seems like
There's more cycling. I think for at least for me, like on my suggested, it's definitely more, how do I want to put it? Like up my alley type stuff that I was surprised to see, that, just didn't expect. And it's very all over the map. It's very hit and miss, but there's some winners in there that are just like surprisingly good. And it's like their, third video or whatever, or first one. But it's definitely, entertaining, especially when you're looking for more content or inspiration, no matter what level or what you are doing, either just watching or considering doing something.
Yeah, for sure. And I can see we've got our friend Zach Gallardo in the room, who we were trying to get for this week's episode, but it just did not happen. Maybe we'll get him next week. I really wanted to do this episode with Zach because he's been on for a long time, and I watch he's one of the few bike YouTubers I actually watch on the regular.
Yeah, Russ doesn't watch me or Eric, so yeah, good on you.
That's not true. I watch your videos. I watch the suspension stem thing.
thing.
Eric, let's quiz Russ on our videos. Maybe that should be an episode. That'll be the good one. Yeah.
Okay. So before we head into the topic today, we're going to talk about the new. And one of the big new drops this week was the All City Space Horse. I actually did a review of it today.
Exclusive.
Cool bike. Exclusive. I've been creating bike media for 15 years. The channel, seriously, for the last like 3 or 4. And this is the first time I got a chance to ride a bike and review it and have it ready for launch. So, good stuff. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? I love this colorway. I mean, that's one thing that All City does right, is like the aesthetics are on point for the money.
Yeah, I think I watched your exclusive. I agree with all your I agree with all your points. I think the FSA crankset they went with, primo choice. I had their 4832 crankset. So I agree with you. They should have gone bigger on the rear cassette. I don't know offhand like what GRX can handle, but I want to say it's at least a 36.
I feel like I've seen videos where people stick a 40 back there and it seems to shift okay.
I know the gravel cyclist did. I believe that was on a semi-compact or a subcompact crankset, but I don't remember. But yeah, I think the 36 would have been an easy slam dunk. You could have got a Shimano branded one. And that's a super wide range, and I think that kind of really even with the bigger gaps with the 2x, like that would probably shift really great. How is you've ridden GRX, correct? How have you ridden the mechanical version like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've ridden the 1x on a current test bike I'm testing now, and this is the 2x, and I like it. I mean, I think it shifts better than SRAM.
Okay.
I'm kind of bummed that there's no mechanical disc brake version of GRX. It's my only hang up. I'd love to see that in the future, or because I don't know if you've played with the levers, but they move the pivot point of the brake levers, so it's a little bit it's different, and I feel like it's easier to brake in the hoods.
That I did hear about when they created it, which totally makes sense, and I totally love that idea. No, I think it's cool. How and yours came with those 700. What are those 42? The Ramparts.
650B by 48. Oh no, we lost
40.
Eric.
Oh, there. Oh, everybody drink. That's the first one of the night. All right.
Hopefully he will join us again. I don't know why I'm so small on the bottom right of the screen, but there I am. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very supple tire. That's about as big as you could get. I put in the Schwabe G1s, and it was just starting to rub the chain ring. But
was
it's
that 2.1s?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they've got a little bit of I wouldn't say an aggressive knob, but enough of a knob that it starts to rub.
Got it.
What do you guys think of this color?
I like the initial color. I'm not the stripe across it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the fence on. I like the color though, like the main color.
Yeah, the dusty rose or dusty rose.
Yeah.
You would or you would not?
I would. I would paint any of my bikes that color and ride it.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. I feel like this is there's that color millennial pink that was color of the year, I think a year or 2 years ago, and we're still seeing kind of remnants of that. But fun bike. Have you guys ever thrown a leg over an All City when you guys worked at a shop?
I had a Nature Boy. That's what me and Zach reviewed together.
Okay,
no big deal. But yeah, I almost pulled the trigger on a Gorilla Monsoon for a minute, and then I ended up getting the giant TCX to the shop that I worked at. But I've ridden a few. Most of them have been in parking lots. The Nature Boy, obviously, like I rode it more extensively. But I mean, it is a great bike. Like you said, I think you worded it perfectly with the, it's kind of that custom look, but with like the production price.
Yeah.
It's definitely a unique bike, and there are going to be those people who love it. And yeah, getting an accessible full steel bike is super rare right now in general. And especially at this price point, even though it is higher than what you're going to find, in an OEM aluminum or carbon potentially. But, the ride quality is what you're getting, in return.
Yeah. Cool. So next one is, how do you pronounce it? Is it Revel or Reval? Or...
I think it's Reval.
It's Reval.
But I could be wrong. We could say both. Tomato, Reval, Revello. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I call it Reval.
Reval. It's a component offshoot from Specialized. They're getting into some aftermarket stuff. Some kind of weight weenie roadie things. But I think most pertinent to us in our audience is this new seat post, the Tara. It comes in a couple different flavors, 20 millimeter offset, 0 millimeter offset, full carbon, and 18 millimeters of deflection. So in some ways, similar to that seat post that you reviewed recently, but also very different.
Yes, very different, yeah. Yeah, I've ridden their Cobble Gobbler. I know Eric has as well, I believe. And so this is supposed to be basically just like, it's 100 grams lighter. It's supposed to be similar compliance. And it just kind of looks normal. I know Eric is a big fan of the Cobble Gobbler with his hover bars.
Gotta have it.
So, but this is supposed to be kind of an updated version that I think, as far as them coming out with a component set,
right,
a more compliant seat post is kind of what you want anyway. So gravel or not, I think I would put this on. I don't have a road bike right now, but I would totally put that on my road bike.
Yeah. Eric, have you had much experience with carbon seat posts and opinions one way or the other?
I mean, nothing more than usually what comes with a bike. Typically, like my argument has always been like a bike's not done until you've bought the seat post and the stem that match to go with it. I've never like actually completed a bike, so
well, always a work in progress.
yeah, like if you haven't spent the money on those last two components, you aren't done your bike yet. But like I've ridden the I think there was an updated version of the Cobb Gobbler for Specialized that looked a little bit like this, for the Crux and possibly the Diverge, and it was supposed to kind of work the same, but I think with like in conjunction with like a lower, more compact frame.
Right.
I may have noticed it more riding mountain bikes than I would gravel. Like I've had bikes with bigger seat posts and smaller ones, and definitely like riding cross country on a hardtail have noticed that like having that smaller like 27.2 post is definitely nicer than like a 31.8.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the big thing is going to be, and I kind of mentioned it in my review for my Cobalt bike, is like if it had more seat post exposed, like, like your cross country bikes would, it's going to work more, So I think that there's, depending on where you are in a fit in a frame, that's really where it's going to make the most difference. I would really like to see some information coming out. If they say, okay, it's got 18 millimeters of flex, cool, but at what insertion is that? Or beyond, because there's no way that thing is, 80% into the frame and still has, 18 mil of flex to it. Maybe it does. I have no idea. But Russ, I'm talking for you. Yes, this is
right,
for, yeah. So that's what I'm saying is I think that's really where it comes into factor, because if I ride it and I have X amount of millimeters and I'm going to feel all this flexion, I'm like, dude, this is the greatest thing. And you have half that seat post showing, what's the range essentially, or the minimum they recommend. Because like, for me, it'd be like, expecting a dropper seat post. Like you have to have a minimum insertion for it to work. I think that these flexi or more comfort oriented saddle, seat posts should have some kind of minimum insertion. Like, hey, to get this, here's your minimum insertion. Anything below this, it will work, but it's going to be below the number we state. Something like that would be cool.
That's a good idea, because I have, that is the big question I have. I'm a shorter rider. Unless I'm riding a super compact frame or something with a sloping top tube, I don't have like a ton of seat post exposed.
Right.
So I'm really curious as to like in that kind of situation, how much of that 18 millimeters do you get?
That's where for you, I think I know we don't have it pulled up, and I just, because I have it actually, it's a 3T diff lock elastomer seat post, where the elastomer is essentially just in the head of the seat post. That for you, it doesn't, I mean, obviously the amount of seat post shown would help that, but the elastomer section is just in the head of it. That would make more sense, because the insertion rate wouldn't matter as much, for having it more slammed in the frame. But yeah, I think that may or may not be something that I would recommend for them to mention in general. Kind of like that, those new kryptonite likes, they talked about, it wasn't lumens, it was like lumix or something, where it was like how much goes to the ground. I'm like, what? Who knows this? Like, it's just another metric
I'm gonna
that no one
make up
understands.
my own new metric.
And I'm like, oh, that's how much ground lights up. I don't know, but like, in the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? It kind of makes sense, because like it's like the flood factor. I don't know. I try to make sense of it in my own head, but like this is like the same example,
Right, for sure. With on the Redwood, it's got a sloping top tube, right? The Poseidon.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Yep.
Is it?
It's a big seat post though. No, it's not. It's like.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a 30. It's probably a 30.8 or 30.9, whatever that standard is. Whatever.
Yeah, the middle one. Yeah.
All right, so this is out for the grab. Next up, and our final one is by a brand called Number 22 Bikes, and they've come out with this fancy schmancy coupling system. So instead of something like the S&S couplers, where it creates this kind of extra thing and you need a special wrench, this almost like comes together like a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
It's kind of and you just use one hex key.
I think it's a 6 mil. Yeah, it's a 6 mil
6
hex
mil?
key on the bottom.
Yeah. And what else say? They got like a special hydraulic quick release. So if you've got hydros, you can put it in the case.
Okay, so that's my biggest like takeaway from all this. I want that.
Yeah.
and the reason is, and it's not even because of them. So I think it was last Sea Otter, I believe. It was Rodeo Labs had their drop bar bike E-tap.
Yeah, right.
And it had a quick release so they could do a flat bar with a E-tap Eagle like trigger shifter. So you could make your drop bar bike into a flat bar bike with just like changing the stem out. And I was like, that's so rad. And they came out with some kind of system like this, but they wouldn't release it because they said it's automotive parts and they didn't want to be responsible, which I totally get. But if they're selling this, I want to know what that costs, because that would be awesome to just like quickly swap out, especially if you're electronic, your stem or like, you know, whatever out. That would be rad. One
thing I do notice about this, it's fairly chunky, because I remember the Rodeo Labs one, and it almost looked like an inline like cable adjuster, so a lot more svelte. Like this would be a big, you know, two big pieces of metal like banging around your handlebars.
Sure.
Have a breakaway thing. So
yeah, no, I get it. I just think that would be cool to sell as like a unit, because that is a $1,250 option to do this.
What?
You didn't read that part?
No, I just look at pictures.
Okay, well, I think if you go to the bottom, I think it says something about or up a little bit, but it's something. I think it's $1,250 to add it to your frame set. I believe. I could be wrong.
Including the brake. Yeah.
Hell yeah! There it is.
So that's the cost of a bike.
That's right a cut for a half. To split your bike in half and make the brakes still work. Yeah, $1,250.
I will say that's not really a problem for any true number 22 customers.
Exactly.
Like,
no, true, very true. It's fine. But yeah, because even the SS couplers, I want to say, are like,
those are $600 to retrofit. So
exactly. Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's funny. These are very, very similar to what like a show car would use for for their cage. Like
for sure.
If there was a way that they need, like if they built a race cage and there was a spot where they needed it to come out quickly, they'll use like basically what he's using there in that picture. We looked at that for when I made that video about wanting to build a bike rack for my motorbike. Like we're like, well, why don't we use these like cage couplers? Yeah. But you can't get them. You couldn't get them as small as I wanted them. I wanted it to be like 7/8, like typical.
Oh yeah, there's no way. Yeah,
like there's nothing that small. But like these are common. Like I didn't look at this before we did this. I'm terrible for that. But like this just looks like something. Like it's funny how often like either the bike world or the car world will look at each other and be like, yeah, we can make that work, and let's do that.
Cool. All right. So we've got about almost 100 people in the chat. So if you're in the chat, let us know where you're watching from. And I guess we should just dive into today's topic of bike
Let's
YouTubers.
Just jump into it.
You're right.
Wait, when are we ever?
Let's just jump into it.
I have to ask, because we've done this long enough. When are we going to get the hashtag like the Top Gear of cycling? That's when I think we've made it. Like when we hit that, I would love that meme, because the meme we got today was the best. Speaking of that's why I was trying to segue into that. Please show that, because that was the best thing that I think I've seen since we started all of this, and it's the most accurate statement ever. And it made me think of, okay, we're almost the Top Gear of cycling.
All right, here it is. You know you've made it when a viewer
makes a meme about you.
So
I can't tell who is who. I don't know.
Well, I like that Russ has no caption. That's the best one. Like me and Eric both have two well thought out captions, and just Russ is just
looking at the camera, panning.
I think the caption on Eric's is wrong though. It should say something like, "Get me a folding chair and a torch."
Oh yeah, and some welding rod. Yeah.
and a Harbor Freight welder. Let's do this.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
All right. So that, yeah,
so
that was
good.
pretty awesome. Yes. So I forget who did that, but thank you very much for the meme. It totally made all three of our.
Let
our
me.
days.
I have
Yeah, we
them
did
on.
that.
Hang on. I had it saved. That was okay. It's I'm not. You can't. I can't pronounce it. It's HXCPDX.
Nice.
Very easy to remember. Yes.
Okay.
Somewhere
All right.
for people. All right. So
Yeah.
we got Australia, rural East Texas, Iowa, Hamburg, Sandy Hook, Connecticut, Whittier, California. That's close to use, Michael, La Mirada.
Yeah.
Same state. Smoked out Sacktown. Yeah, bummer. Yeah. So let's talk the YouTubes. So I still remember the first time. I forget who proposed. Did I propose doing this show together? Or it was, no.
Well, I wanted to do a like a day in the life video. I think I messaged you guys, and I was like, "How cool would it be if we made like a video where we all like leave the house and do like a virtual ride together?" Is what I wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we all agreed, it's a super cool idea. Let's do it, and then didn't.
And then I think at some point I came back. Well, let's try a live stream. And
Yeah. Oh no, that was.
goes.
You know what it was? Is COVID hit? You were doing
Right.
I mean, live streams 3-4 times a week. It seemed like initially.
Yeah.
And then we started this as like hey, what about if this works well? This could be like a thing, and then it's a thing. So yeah,
It's a thing.
that was even knowing what it was called. So yeah,
yeah. But that's
I think it's been.
And this is a good thing for me to draw on because I'm the smallest out of all of us, right? And I just kind of what's going on?
I don't know.
But I was like,
Mike is doing some not safe for work stuff. So.
Yeah, we're shutting him down. But I remember being like, geez, I don't know if I should like reach out to these guys. Like I'm such a small fry. But made it. Here I am now.
Yeah.
But that's like
small
that's like
poutine,
those,
if you will.
Yeah. Small poutine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like nervous. I was like nervous to reach out to you guys. I was like, I don't really want to like bother these guys with like, my dumb video idea. Yeah, like. But that I think that's like small YouTuber like YouTube thoughts that you have where you're like, I don't know, I just don't want to bother anybody. I'll do my own thing. But I'm kind of glad we're at where we're at now.
I think my favorite thing from that first episode was actually after it, because I felt like, as a YouTuber, you tend to it's mostly a solo gig, right?
Yeah.
And if you tell your friends, your IRL friends and your family about what you do, they're like, what? So very few people can relate. So I felt like after that first episode and subsequent ones, it's been almost like a mini therapy session.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, so full disclosure for everyone else, like we usually like talk for like 30 to 45 minutes after this, like basically until Eric is like, I have to go to sleep because he's
it's late.
Basically until Eric says he's got to go night. We usually just talk because we'll either plan the next episode or whatever. But yeah, I think after that, it was just this, it felt so natural because yes, we're all from different areas and different, experiences and everything else and different like stages of this,
Right.
But I think it was just this communal, like, this is kind of nice. It's like group therapy, that was just what it ended up being, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. So YouTube, doing the bike YouTube's not easy. What makes you guys show up every day or every other day or whenever you do show up?
I know, like I've mentioned this in videos before, like I've worked a lot of jobs. Like I tend to stay at a place for like 2.5 years. And then I'm like, this sucks. I don't want to be here anymore. And like, I always have this, maybe unfounded, but like, I hate working hard for someone else for like the same, like you just end up with the exact same treatment the next day. Like, yeah, you need to work that hard again.
Right.
And like, when you work hard here even if the money's not good or like whatever it is you're trying to do, like you literally see within like 24 hours, because there's a delay, you see whether or not your work paid off. Like you don't know, like you don't know, like, you know, I can't work hard for someone 5, 6, 7 years for them to be like, okay, here's your raise, you know, like great job. Like it is instant here. Like I worked hard, did it work? And then like, what do I need to change? You literally know that almost immediately. And like when I see, like, it's funny how quick I can go from like posting almost every day, and then if I miss a day, see it go down, be almost like discouraged, and it'll discourage me for like 7 days, and I'll be like, oh my god, everything's going to shit. Start again, and then you see it come back up. And that's usually how my almost my upload schedule goes, where I'm like, oh, I've really let things slide.
I thought about that this morning, or no, yesterday. I thought about it, Eric. Like I was just like, usually every couple of days I'll see something like, I haven't seen some clickbaity, like vague title in a while. I don't know what's going on. So
So there was like well, actually, at the beginning of this month, I was like I worked pretty hard in August, and I did really well. And actually, my job is coming to an end here very shortly. I might have some other stuff lined up, but I was like, I'm going to take, like, I had to train a guy and stuff at work. It was pretty time consuming. And I was like, I guess I'll just take this like first little bit of September to slow down, help at work where I can to leave them in a good situation. And then just like so hardly, like hit the ground so hard running for the rest of September, because it's like, well, now, you know, Angela's pissed because it's like there might not be enough money for us to survive. And that was kind of my plan. I was like, I'll just be a little bit quiet for a little bit in September, and then just like, you know, hit the ground running really hard. That may or may not happen. Who knows?
Yeah. Mike, how about you? What makes you show up to do these videos, even though it is a challenge?
No, I mean, for me, for anyone who isn't aware, is watching this, I'm not unfortunately, I'm a full-time YouTuber, but it wasn't my choice. Job things happened. But kind of like Eric, I love doing this in general, and I have done it I had a restart, and that's a whole nother long story or whatever, but I've done this for like, I think 8 years at least. And granted, I had a restart, so it kind of was like almost starting from the beginning again, for a long story. But for me, it's my creative outlet. If I wasn't able to have this in my work scenario, and the last job I did have was a sales rep position, which I love doing because I love meeting people and talking to people, just like, you know, we do here. And it paid good money, but I didn't have a creative outlet. I have had jobs where I was able to incorporate my video production and editing and sales and all my kind of experiences into one where I felt fulfilled, I guess is the best way. But this is fun, but it's also like, I feel like I'm working more. To Eric's point, I'm on a rampage right now. Like, I am trying to finish out like 3 videos a week for this entire month, and I'm trying to finish them within the next like 7 days to then start on like reaching out to other companies to try to grow this thing, and then start on those videos, and experimenting on video styles and seeing what works and what doesn't. And there's weird little idiosyncrasies that I think we're going to get into a little bit later about like what you're dealing with for like what seems very simple, you know, in the YouTube space. But I think that's what brings me back, is just like, every day is different. Every day is unique. I got some great emails today about stuff I'm like excited to try out, or, you know, ride or whatever it is. But yeah, it's scary because like next month, like I'm going to be out of money to like pay rent. So please watch my videos. And but I'm working on other cool stuff to support the community that supports me, with Patreon, or like, other merch and unique items, just to say thank you, because I'm just, again, I'm not trying to make right now. I'm just trying to make enough to make ends meet, to make
Right.
this a survivable thing, because I'm willing to do the work to make the hustle for a while so that I eventually can make a little bit more than like I can barely pay for groceries.
More than just like sustenance.
Yeah, like I'd like to not have to eat top ramen every day. So like when that happens, like I'm stoked, but like I'm trying to get there, you know? So, but it's fun. I think, you know, there is the ups and downs, but I do it because the reason I used to work at a bike shop, it didn't pay well. And if it paid, well, my last job paid and I got to work or manage a bike shop, I'd still be doing it. Because to me, it was just like, it didn't feel like going to work. It felt like I get to talk to people about something that I love doing. And then I feel that I know a lot about, and I love getting people into it. So that doesn't feel like work, you know, and that's why I keep doing this.
Cool. So YouTube chat, if you guys have any questions about what it's like to be a bike YouTuber, we've got 2 full-timers here. Eric may or may not be full-time.
Soonish.
Let us know in the comment section, and we'll get to your questions. Yeah, I think similar to you, Mike, what keeps me showing up is you know, it's a pretty interesting job. It's always different. Every day, every week. It's a creative outlet for sure. And you get to make something, and you get to make, like, you know, depending on what your take is, like it's content that doesn't exist online. You know, I've been doing stuff like the meme about painting and biking. I'm getting into birding, so I'm going to start incorporating that. And that's just, I love creating content where that no one else is doing, or that just seems so weird, doesn't make sense at first, but then you start to see the synergy. So I get real high off of stuff like that. Like the whole, like when I started combining fly fishing and cycling and
for sure
made the hashtag bike fishing. I remember early on the comments were like, are you a cycling channel or a fishing channel? And then now like brands have used the term bike fishing for like promo videos. So to be able to
we gotta TM that, man. We gotta trademark that. We gotta get that money. Like, isn't
that cool to come up with a goofy idea, present it in a fun way, get other people excited about it, get brands excited about it, and then you start seeing it. You put that idea out in the world. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, wow. I guess I never really thought of that ever.
Eric's mind is slowly blowing apart. That's just in the background here, guys.
Yeah.
I think one thing for me, I mean, it's as simple as, I know this is very rudimentary versus like what you're talking about, Russ, but like for me, it was like the get your miles in hashtag. I was the first, I just like started that, and now it's got like 5,000 people who use it. A lot of runners use it for whatever reason, but like, you know, like it was just cool. It's just like, hey, it picked up or whatever. And it's also the trends of anything that we create that people may have not thought of, I think is super, super cool. Like today's video was just like a random thing, and I won't spoil it because it's coming out later. Make sure to subscribe. But it's like, it's something that I didn't ever think that was possible, and I just did it, and it worked really well. And I'm just like, oh, well, maybe this will help somebody else out, or you know, that kind of thing, or help the community. And I hope it's unique. I didn't do a full day of research to see if anybody else had made a video like that, but I was like, you know what, this is cool. Someone's gonna like this, you know?
Yeah. So
that gets you pumped.
Here's a good question from Steve. How do you balance making income versus staying true to yourself and your channel? That's a legit question. One I ask myself every single day. You know, because there is, you know, a matter of like creativity, but also having to pay the bills. And then if you do something for money, is it a compromise? How do you guys personally navigate that? Like, do you make a separation, or, you know, what's your take?
I think for me, oh no, Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I think I do a pretty good job of any of the videos that I'm paid to do. Make it obvious enough, and then also try and be myself in it. But the companies I've also worked with have been really, really good about being like, you know, first email, they give you what they want to propose. You kind of give them a video idea, and then they'll usually hit you hopefully with like, listen, we like what you do, so do a video in your style. And I haven't had anyone like dictate like anything they want me to say or anything I'm not allowed to say yet. And like I think maybe 2 years ago I might have been like purposely mean about like some bike stuff, and I've like backpedaled away from that a little bit because I've ridden enough different bikes now that I feel like any time that I was looking for a negative on something, it was purely to like shock in a video and to be funny. And like I don't know that really brings anything to the table other than the fact that it's like, this guy's kind of a dick, I like watching his stuff. And it's like, well,
Right.
so that's actually changed a little bit. And maybe some people who watched for a long time might be like, well, you're not as harsh on stuff anymore. And I'm like, well, because you almost don't need to be. Like, everything's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I'd agree.
Like, you know, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, it doesn't
You're not
come with.
what is it? Hamby or what's his name?
Yeah, I'm not.
We just got. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not him. And there's been people who have given me a hard time about being nice about something like a GXP bottom bracket. Like, I think
great.
it's kind of it's okay design.
$30, yeah, like $30.
Yes,
yeah.
It's like, yes, the drive side does like blow up into a million pieces sometimes, but BB30 is no better. Like, BB30 is
oh, it's worse. It's
like,
worse.
Awful.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, Shimano bottom brackets are pretty good. I'll say that. Like, they're fine. Everyone should just ride square taper. They're just better.
Yeah.
So how about you, Mike? How do you balance money versus, create?
So
pure creative.
I mean, most of my stuff. There's been a few videos that I've done that were paid for production. Most of the time, when I've ever received pay, it's because of the rush factor. So a company hits me up like, "Hey, we want this really elaborate video and they want it in a short amount of time." I'm like, hey, I need to push back other things that are, or whatever. And up until this point, I was working full time. So to do that was very difficult. So where I'd be like, hey, I can do that, but I'm going to push back all these other things I already have like in the works with other companies that aren't paying or whatever. So yeah, like you pay to play kind of thing, but it's just basically to get them to the video to drop in a time frame that they want. Recently, and I won't name any companies, this actually happened to me like yesterday. I had a company hit me up about a product, and they offered a nominal value because they, again, wanted it by, I believe, roughly before the end of this month. And I had two companies do that and offer two different type of compensation things. But one, I was just like, I don't know, because there are some products that, yes, everything's pretty good at this point, but there are certain categories of products that are harder to recommend because of my background. I've always worked at a shop. There are certain things I always say, like, you need to go to a shop to either try on, wear, or like name brands you need to use because of XYZ. So can the product that I receive be just as good as a name brand that I've recommended in the past? Maybe. And now especially, more probably than not. So that's where it gets difficult, because I don't know. And so that's definitely something that once in a while I struggle with it. It's very rare. It depends on the genre that it is, because it can be more detrimental if it does fail.
Yeah, it can hurt your channel. I mean, I feel like, I was thinking about this a lot the last couple of weeks, and it's like, with us, or with, like, I feel like with most creators, I mean, you kind of, especially if you do reviews, you live and die on trust.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
because if you put out a bad video and it seems obvious that you're just recommending whatever product because you got paid or something, then if you do that enough times, people, you lose whatever credibility. And I think for the long game, I mean, that's what's most important.
It's definitely hard. Yeah, it's definitely hard. There no, totally. I mean, that's the struggle right now. Is right now that money does matter, because I have to. I mean, that's grocery money for next month if I were to take it. It's not a lot, but hey, groceries are groceries. But I mean, that's the struggle you have to deal with. And I think there are some videos that I do in total honesty, and then maybe other things happen, especially if I get products early. I have had one video, I believe it was my Tiger titanium lock video, that at the day it was like super light. They didn't have any kind of compact other lock option, and I liked it. But then somebody made some video like a year and a half later about how easy it was to break it or cut it or whatever, and I got flamed in all the comments. I'm like, hey man, like for the year that I had it, my bike still lived. Like I still had it. Like, you know, like that was my experience. I'm not lying to you. It's just that was my experience. You know, and it's like I can't keep products for 3 years to like product test everything, you know.
Right.
And so I think that's
long-term reviews.
Yeah. And it's like when somebody comments on something that's a 5-year-old video, I probably don't either one, have that bike, two, have that product. Right. I would love to. I'd love
your opinions have changed.
Well, yeah, or whatever. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh my God, that's a whole nother story. Yeah. Yeah.
So, let's see. Let's get on to Zach here asked a good question, which I think is pertinent to us. He says he often gets caught up obsessing over view counts and sub counts. It's a thing for sure. But it ends up draining his creativity. How do you balance the desire for channel growth with staying passionate about cycling? I don't know. What do you think, Eric? How first up, 2 parts. How obsessive are you guys over metrics? And if you are obsessive about it, does it take away your joy from doing this YouTube thing?
Sometimes it does. See, I'm lucky. I always throw in the caveat that I'm a vlog channel about a guy who likes bikes. But I think you actually do it better, Russ. You will introduce new things to the channel with better success than I will. But there's been times, and I've lost this a little bit. Someone actually commented, and it was because I'm not working at the shop anymore and I don't have the time to like vlog as much. But my goal has always, like, what I always obsessed over views, and the number never changed, was like, I want every video to get 1,000, and then I'm happy. Now the metrics in the dashboard don't bother me, but the colors do. So like, if I go in,
just stay all green,
all green, I'm good. Like, I'm like,
right,
sick, cool. Like green, I'm happy with green. Or gray, like gray is okay. When I start seeing a bunch of red, like that will, like that'll make me be like, okay, so I gotta like backflip a fixed gear now, because like people,
that's what fucking gets views, baby.
Like people will click on that.
Views.
Like I can't just make a video about my dog and like Angela and like, I hurt my knee yesterday. I can't make that video now. I gotta backflip a fixed gear, even though I love my dog, I love Angela, and my knee hurts. So here we go.
Right.
But like that's probably like, it certainly happens. But not too much. Well, like, I mean, the people making fun of my titles for so long, I think, is like a good example of me being like I'm still scared to somewhat tell some people that I'm a YouTuber. Like, I don't like saying it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Like, it's a weird conversation to have. And like, I don't want to step on it. Like, I'm like, I don't want to step on anyone's toes. Like, I want to just make a vlog. And if like I like the people I have, I don't want to bother anybody with like my videos that I make.
And I'm like, if you want, no pressure.
Yeah. But I'll also put 26-inch wheels in your fixed gear. Yeah, like that's the He also threatens at the end of his videos most of the time.
Every video.
Come on. Yeah.
But that my mom told me, my mom was here this weekend. She's like, I watch your videos only to get to the end to see what the threat is, because I think they're so funny.
Eric's mom's a savage. I love it. That's awesome.
And some are good. Some have been bad. I think the simpler ones are the simpler threats are the better ones. Like threatening to like put flat pedals on someone's fixed gear or something, I think is really funny.
Yeah,
because it's like I could easily change it back, and I'm like, I know, but imagine the minor inconvenience.
Yeah. So for me, I I go in waves about obsessing over stats. I feel like, you know, my goal for so long has been to hit the 100K mark, and the closer I get to it, the faster I just want to get there.
Right.
So like a couple of weeks ago, you know, there's all this chatter on, you know, the how-to YouTube channels about whether or not if you do multiple videos in a week, if YouTube demotes the video, or is it better to let the video breathe? And there was, you know, people were saying it doesn't hurt. So I was like, okay, we'll see how many videos I can do in like 2 weeks. So I almost did like a daily video for 2 weeks. And roughly, you know, the view counts went up by virtue of just more videos, but
Volume,
they weren't getting any more views. And like last week, I just was approaching burnout. I was like, I gotta back up a little bit. So now I think I'm gonna just go down to 3 videos a week.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Like a product, a bike review, product review, maybe some adventure in the live stream, and I think that's like a happy number for me. Yeah, but there was like just recently I was going through this wave of like, oh, I just want to get there. I'm gonna, you know, look at all the metrics and all this stuff, and it was making me very unhappy, and I was just not having fun with it. So
yeah, that definitely happened to me when I went like full time. Like my subscriber count's kind of was honestly, to be brutally honest, was kind of stagnant for a while. And this is obviously and me being more, you know, obviously producing more has really rapidly increased it. Subscriber count never really mattered to me because I was so, again, like for you, like originally 50,000, I'd say 2 years ago was a big number, and they used to send you out a plaque for that, but now it's 100. So like I think I'm far enough away from that to where like subscriber count doesn't really matter to me. Kind of like Eric, it's now just like average view count. I've been doing 2 to 3 videos a week plus the live stream, so you could be 3 to 4 depending on how you look at it. And so yeah, I want them all to hit a certain number. And then some that I don't think that are going to do well, like blow it out of the water. And then I'm just like, well, let me try that format for a few weeks. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying everything and a variety of things to see what works well and how, so that I can produce quality content efficiently so that everybody's happy, me and the audience, whoever that is. And I saw a comment earlier, Emerson, question for Michael: why are your videos mostly short? Honestly, that's like a thing for me in general that I did from the beginning. Like when I started my YouTube channel forever ago, I hated watching the 10-minute video of some dude in his garage spending 10 minutes telling you how to put your pedals on. You know, like that's what I had to watch back in the day. Eric, yours was like 8.5. Okay. So like I would have rather watched that. All right. Calm down. All right. Calm down. But that's what I had to watch.
I have a shed.
Yeah. So no, I just like, yeah, it was just, I like to think my videos are very short and effective. If something that you need to rewatch, sure. But as far as like how I talk, I do talk a little fast, but 2, I also edit out like all like the breathing essentially between all of my videos, which essentially makes the talking seem a lot faster. But that's to condense the content, because there are sometimes that some people just need to hear it or see it, and they don't necessarily need to do it with you.
Yeah, so I definitely appreciate, especially if it's like a tutorial style video where you just they chase. Like I hate videos where it's like, you know, 8 minutes of me just talking BS and then finally getting to the point.
No one wants to watch you explain how to loosen all 4 stem bolts and pull them out. Like no one needs to see that. That is that is 3 minutes that no one needs to see. So yes, I make my videos very short. But that's I try to cut out the nonsense that I don't think you need to watch me physically do. I could make all my videos 30 minutes if I wanted to, and you wanted to see the whole thing. And I'm experimenting with a different format to do that. But I eventually, want to see it like, hey, if you need to watch all that, or you need to physically do it because you're watching it while you're doing it, pause it and then do that aspect of the video, and then
so here's a question. Again. Like one of the realizations that I think every YouTuber makes is that you can make an amazing video, very informative, very entertaining, well produced, but if the title and thumbnail sucks, it will get 0 views, and that's kind of like demoralizing.
Oh my God, it's the worst.
So, starting with you, Eric, like, do you how knowing that, how big of that, how much of that knowledge shapes the content that you guys create?
Like,
This is gonna be a 3-hour live stream, everybody.
yeah. I think
I need the whiskey bottle.
yeah.
Like,
We need. Okay, this is gonna be part one
deep.
because this is gonna be like a
Yeah.
like a 47-part live stream because this is gonna be a lot. But anyways, yeah, go ahead.
I think I've purposely, hindered and self-sabotaged my channel for the last probably 3 years with bad titles and vague, like bad, somewhat clickbaity titles and like just uninformative thumbnails. And like it really does just come from a spot of like somewhat insecurity of like the videos I'm like they're not, in my mind I'm like they're not very good. I pulled so much from everybody else that I watched that I'm like, and I think to everybody else, they're like, oh, you're a pretty creative guy. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not, everything I make sucks. I can't find my own good music, so I steal it from everybody else, whatever. Like, I don't know that I could ever say anything good about anything I've ever, if someone asked me what my favorite video was, I'd be like, they're all trash. Don't watch them.
It's yeah.
That's wildly hindering to growth, right? Like, it's amazing that I've gotten where it's amazing that I've made 400 videos with that thought about everything. Like, I'm like, well, that's garbage, upload, like,
and then delete the files.
And then delete it, get rid of it. Like, let's try and make something better.
Right.
Like, I don't know why I haven't stopped being so like, probably this year is like the first time that like, I've been like pretty open about talking about it with people. And like only with like, what was it, like 3 weeks ago, Russ, you were like, Eric, why don't you just try titling your videos better so that like,
and he said he said he would try it, but he never did.
And, no, I did. I did. And a lot of those videos, they netted, anywhere from, 10 to 15,000 views instead. And this, last month, I think I did title videos better. But it dictated my content, and I don't like that. Right. Like, I don't like that like if I write, making all the videos for the Redwood, I had to make them so about the Redwood that like I was like, I want there to be a little bit of skateboarding in this video, and I like now I can't. Like some person who's gonna just show up, who doesn't know me, and is going to get a first impression about this amazing bike, but there's a skateboard. Like, they're going to be like, "What is this? Who's this guy? Screw this guy."
For sure, dude. Totally get that. Yeah.
So I don't like I there is a bit of purposefulness in my vague bad titles, and just thumbnails of like me riding a bike or a bike. Mostly just to like, it's almost like in mountain biking or BMXing, we call the little jumps that make things harder before you get to the big ones, squirrel catchers, so that you don't get the squirrely riders going over such a big jump that they get hurt. Like, I, put up a wall so that only like the bravest will, they're like, what is this? And then, that way, there's no expectation. Like, I just don't want there to be ever any expectation.
For sure. Like, it's interesting because like knowing that there's kind of in some ways a formula to success with like the title and thumbnail, what you generally have a sense of what people are gonna want to click on. Like, in some ways I'm similar to you, Eric, because I'll know like I don't want to be confined to the kind of content I should make just to grow the channel, even though that it is a little bit self-sabotaging. Like, I'll do a video about, bicycling and birding, and like I know like, oh, that is only for the hardcore community, but relative to all the other videos, it's going to get very little views. But it's one I have to do for myself. Otherwise, it's like, why the heck are we doing this if we're not doing something that's going to feed our creativity?
That's right.
Oh, 100%. I think there are some videos that I do that are literally, I tell like people, or if people ask like, well, oh, what's your favorite video? I'm like, oh yeah, it's got like the least amount of views on my channel. I love this video because it's not anything. It's for me. Like there was one I did. It was Rusty visited the Team Dream. It's not a bike shop, and they had a bike show charity toy drive, and they asked my Varco like all road like custom build in there. I had like everything was matching. It's a purple to blue color shift bike for anyone who doesn't know. At an Ornaut plum bag that was like limited edition. I had to punch a guy to get it, and then I had like a Rick and Morty Mr. Macy's sticking out of it with like a pickle Rick because it all matched the color scheme. You know, like I was like, all right, show ready. You know, and I loved doing that video, and it was just. It took me a day to find the right music just to edit everything to. And there's no storyline. It was just showing off all these cool bikes. I met amazing people. I loved doing that. And it has 600 views, you know, and it probably took me 3 days to edit, you know, like that was, but I love that video. It was so good. And a lot of my other favorites are unfortunately on other channels that I've done for other companies. And I think it is really tough. I think initially, when GCN came out, there's a lot of videos that I did, not in tandem, I wouldn't say, but there's a lot of videos that they would have done that I would have done before they started. And mine did reasonably well at the time to where I stopped doing that for a while. But that was, you know, years ago to where now it's tough. I mean, there are things that if I think of something that might be cool, I may take a minute and be like, there's probably like 1,000 people who have done that. So like I may skip it, but now I think at this point in the YouTube career, I think that most of the stuff I think of is very offshoot that can hit or miss because I do try to keep my finger on the pulse and watch a lot of stuff to see what's kind of coming out, to see if it lands or see if it just kind of answers a question that I would want. I always look at this whole industry as me being a novice and like what information would I need if I was where I was 10 years ago today. That's kind of the thought process that I do my videos now, to where, you know, there's like my videos this week, like today was just like, do you need like suspension on your gravel bike? If I was like getting into cycling today, cyclocross would have never crossed my mind. It would have all been gravel. Okay, well, I would have seen a lot of that. Doesn't make sense. And I'm trying to explain the pros and cons and if you need it or how much or what you should spend kind of thing. So that's how I think of my channel of now. So
here's a question. Do you find that it's do you find that you guys feel guilty riding a bike without your camera?
Sometimes.
Like, are you like is it hard to enjoy a ride because you do the YouTube thing?
Yes.
Okay, I have one scenario that actually, again, just happened recently. I did a 108-mile century ride with my buddies, and I wanted to film it. I've done the similar route before, but I've never done 100, and it was like 10 miles longer, and we were going to like a different district and whatever. And it was like 6 people, socially distanced and responsible or whatever, but we all were going to like try to Peloton it and do a spicy version is what we called it to get there. AKA like do like a mile-ish hour faster average than what we did last time. I'm glad I didn't bring it. It was it was rough. Like our average and for my fitness level, like we were going for it. You know, and at mile 70 doing 25 miles an hour down the freeway, you know, you can't do a whole lot, like be like, oh yeah, I just yeah, it's just mile 70. Here we are. Like, oh, I'm losing the group, you know, like I can't do that, you know. So there are some times where I think now where I'm at, I will leave the camera at home because I want to enjoy the ride, especially if it's something I've done before. I want to enjoy it.
For me, a vacation like is going on a bike ride without taking the camera.
Yeah.
Because like so much of the time I'm, you know, when I go for rides, like, I should be filming this for content.
Yeah, right. You get that like I could totally do something like, oh, that's pretty, and I'm like, I could totally do something with this. Like it's tough. Yeah.
Like one thing I've you know, it's so like one of my big goals when I first started the channel was to get the chance to review bikes. You know, I thought that would be the coolest thing. And I was counting today, and I think I've reviewed about 60 bikes.
It's a lot of work.
Which is kind of bonkers if you think about like assembly, you know, writing it, filming it, editing it, and then boxing it up and then issuing it back. And, you know, one of the cool things about that is writing all the bikes. But then I bought some of the bikes that I really liked because I wanted to ride them. But I don't ever get a chance to ride those bikes I really like because I'm always reviewing a bike.
Right.
So, you know, I wake up and it's like, should I go for a fun ride with this bike I bought because I supposedly really like it? Or, you know, I have 2 bikes in the queue and I have to bang out a review. So I know it sounds like first world problems, but
but I have a question for you then, because my stable is very limited right now. Like if anybody hasn't watched it or hasn't subscribed, I'm selling my Varco all steel like all road bike. I probably will keep the frame unless somebody wants it, but I'm selling all the components off it because I'm making another bike with him. Off of all the things that I've learned from reviewing the bikes that I have and the bikes that I've owned. Russ, reviewing that many, I have to ask, I know you're at a different tier level than me and Eric are. The time into a bike review is a lot more substantial than anything else. Is it worth it at, let's say, pre-sub 100?
Wait, are you asking, is it like pre-sub 100,000 or what are you?
Yeah. Like where like subscriber wise, like it's a lot of time. Like you're building like you said, you're building the bike.
I think so. I mean, like a good example is like the All City review I did that launched that got published on the same day as the bike launch.
Right.
And metrics wise, it's doing better. It's doing a lot better than like an average bike review.
Okay.
And that's part of the tricky thing. It's like it only makes sense if it's like a hot new bike that people are searching for.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Or that has, you know, like the Diverge, any version of the Diverge or something like that. Otherwise, it's just kind of it can be a time suck.
I think that's where we're talking about is like basically we know again the pay is not great, but like we're all trying to make this work. So what is your breaking off point? If like let's say a bigger brand like the Diverge, when it came to you, it had been out in the market for a little while. Obviously, like, you know, it's still a good name brand bike to have on the channel, but where's like the thought process with that when it's something that's not hot and ready like the new All City stuff is?
Yeah, so like the Diverge, that was more of a, you know, get a foot in the door with Specialized.
Yeah, that makes sense. Which totally makes sense. Yeah,
you know, and sometimes like that's something you negotiate, right? Okay, it might not be, you know, your most favorite bike or the bike you really want to review, but it gets your foot in the door as a YouTuber or as a media, and then you slowly build that relationship. And that's mostly like how I've been able to get access to these bikes. It's like I reviewed the bikes I owned, and those things, and kind of leverage that slowly. Let's see. I'm gonna go to the YouTube chat. If you guys have questions, let us know what you guys want to know about being a bike YouTuber. So in terms of goals, like what would in a dream reality, what would the goal be for your channel? Let's start with you, Eric.
I mean, obviously I want it to grow. I am going to do this full time at some point. I'm dipping my toes in the water. I'm not jumping in cannonball. I don't know why I'm not, but I seem to have a hard time with it. But here's my ultimate goal is that, you know, the channel becomes successful. I can live sustainably off what I make right now. I've got a one opportunity that I need to explore that starts tomorrow. And then once that opportunity is done, I'll do this full time. It will succeed. I'm too stubborn for it to not. And then because I've disliked where I work so much, I'm going to buy a like 78 or 79 like Burt Reynolds Trans Am. And it's going to be in like super rough shape. And then I want to drive it to where I work and like slide it into a pole and like destroy it there, and hopefully like get out of the car totally fine. And like I do hope that everybody's still there, and I can just be like, I told you guys I was going to do this. Like, screw you, and then leave. That is literally like, if I could write a business plan and show it to you, that's what it would say. Is like succeed on YouTube, where like, you know, all these like, you know, blue collar workers who like don't understand how it works like whatsoever, and they're like, this is a stupid decision, I don't know why you're doing this. Like show up somewhere with something that definitely speaks their language, 78 Trans Am, like destroy it and just like roll out of the car, hopefully like either like hurt and be like but be okay, or be like be completely, you know, unscathed, and like and just like, you know, that's like a fairly inexpensive goal as well. So like,
well, yeah, and Canadian money, if you can get a Trans Am in Canada, yeah, it's got to be cheap. Yeah,
like I'm gonna destroy the car, so it doesn't need insurance, and it doesn't.
Yeah,
like,
no,
you know,
you can get from a shady guy from somewhere else.
Like, you know, it doesn't need to be registered. I don't need a safety. Like it's getting ruined.
Doesn't even need doors. You're gonna roll out of them. It's fine.
So your goal ultimately is to make it full-time sustainable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be huge, but I do want lots of money. So
nice. I mean, I think one thing that is kind of interesting about YouTube is, okay, it does not pay well does not pay well for a very long time. I think if I were to just attempt to live on AdSense, it would not work. I feel like someone flipping burgers at In-N-Out probably makes more money a month than I do, like on the AdSense.
100%. Yes, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So but you do have to explore their opportunity. You know, like Patreon's been really good. You know, sticker sales, all that stuff. But one interesting thing about YouTube is, you know, if you can get the ball rolling, if you can build kind of a community and sell merchandise and do other things, there's no real ceiling to growth. You know, as opposed to like a job where, okay, this is your job, this is how much you're gonna get paid, and maybe in 3 years you'll get a raise, no matter how hard you work. But with YouTube, I feel like the pay is absolute shit, but there's ultimately no ceiling, which is kind of interesting. So, I don't know, what do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I think for me, like I'd like, again, like this to make ends meet, just so I can keep doing it and not have to worry about like affording food. You know, that would be nice initially. But eventually I'd like to be able to make more than that. But right now, like that's all I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to do everything I can to maximize content that I'm putting out. I am like trying to sell like other merch that I'm going to be doing a video on soon. I have some like handmade stuff that I'm doing for like neck buffs and stuff like that that are useful for cyclists or hikers, anybody like that would be potentially watching the channel, and some clothing that's, you know, cycling specific, let's say, you know, and it's just to offer something just to make this more plausible for me. And I also live in California, so it is the worst place to live in and do this. Yeah, it is super expensive.
We live in Montana, and it's you know, relative to like other places we lived, it's more affordable.
Yeah, because you lived in Long Beach, right?
Yeah, Long Beach.
Okay.
Yeah. Long Beach is expensive. So
and I live in Orange County. Like it's the worst. Like, so it's not LA, granted, but like it's expensive to live here. Like I'm just trying to like make ends meet, pay for groceries, to do this because I love doing it. Just like Eric said, like I love like working for myself, like not having to like what I'm putting out is getting results. And yeah, there's always going to be those nuances I think for all of us, of just those videos like, I spent a lot of time on it and it flopped. And then some video I just was like, oh, well, I did this as a passion project and it may have flopped or may have done well, or some video like, it's mediocre and it just kills it. Like that's the life. Like that's what we live. And, you know, we live and breathe and grow from all those things. And I think that's what really makes or breaks a sustainable YouTuber.
Yeah. So here's a question. How long have you guys gotten close to feeling like you were burning out at any point? Or have you managed to avoid that? Yes or no?
Yeah.
It happens to me all the time.
Yeah, I had one point where I almost did, and I had a buddy of mine, luckily, who wanted to learn how to video edit. So I hired him, didn't pay him anything, but I taught him everything I knew, which is not a lot, but it was enough for him to, he's doing like real estate videos and other kind of stuff that, you know, the skills that he learned, all I wanted him to do was just to to basically edit my talking portions of my video, because that was the most time consuming.
Right.
And so in return, you know, I taught him how to do that. And then I could do a video a week. I did that for a year when I was working full time and in school. It was nuts.
Yeah.
And, you know, at the end of that, I was like, man, I wanted a break. And I think I took a 6-month break, or at least a 3-month. I called it a season break, even though like my view count wasn't enough to like
a long time on YouTube. That's
oh yeah, but like
for the algorithm to forget you completely.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like that was the thing. But like back in the day, like everybody took season breaks. Like all the big channels took season breaks, and that was the thing. And now it's like, no, if you're not like on it, again, I'm trying to get this whole month's videos worth like videos done, you know, ahead of time. And I'm working on another side project to, again, trying to roll some money into the channel to keep this sustainable, because I am looking for other work. It's tough right now, but I'd love for this to be a full-time thing. And that's why I'm like trying to offer, you know, all the perks that I am on Patreon, all the merch that I'm releasing this week for anybody who's not on Patreon who doesn't know about it. It's going to be released soon.
You got fans out there, Eric. So says Eric.
Eric's also on his cell phone, so he's got to look real close to your comments.
So Eric, what has prevented you from burning out? Or do you just burn out and reignite?
Yeah, I mean, I do burn out. You know, the last 2.5 years, I've worked 10 hours a day on call, nights and weekends, still putting out videos, 3, 4, sometimes 5 videos a week. That's a lot. Like it just is. Yeah. And you know, when there's like a week where I haven't posted anything, that's when it's happened. Like I would say that's, you know, and it doesn't take me long to come back, because like I'll come up with ideas where I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that. Like I need to make a video about that. I think a lot of times the thing that really burns me out is like I'm so bummed about the missing format that I had when I worked at the shop. Like I looked like I owned the shop. Like
yeah, you totally did. Yeah,
yeah. You know, it looked like everything was mine. It wasn't, but it like I loved that. Like get up in the morning, you know, like drink coffee, be vlogging while drinking coffee. Like my day was a vlog, and I loved that. And I don't have that as much now, because it's like, you know, I get to work and I have like a signed thing that's like, you can't even say where you work. Like, it doesn't matter now. Right. But like, you know, that I lost that a little bit. I never really stopped making content, but I was like, man, I miss being able to wake up and like make my story. Like I could tell my story while riding somewhere, showing things that maybe didn't pertain to it, but people didn't care because I was still talking about whatever the subject of the title was. And then it's like, okay, now I need to come up with something different in the shed. And like the channel's still grown, it still does well, but I like long for that again. And like, that's like that burnout battle that I have with myself, where I'm like, work hard, you know, ask for support, stop being too proud for that, so that you can get to a point where you can start vlogging in the morning again and go do the things that you truly want to do that day that people will be interested in, and tell your story at the same time, because that's what people loved. And I think it's about to come back. Like I think like I get the people who those are almost like the really hurtful comments don't bother me, but I actually got one on the latest upload where someone was like, you know, you kind of lost a little bit. Like the channel's good, but you sort of lost a little bit of like what I loved before.
Oh, that's easy peasy compared to what I get usually.
Yeah. But those ones,
that's nice.
That's the one that bothers me, because that's the thing that I think about that I'm working so hard to get to, and I'm like
Right.
just like hoping no one noticed, and then like but someone did, and I'm like,
Just stabbed Eric in the chest.
yeah, like damn
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's
Son of a-
the salt in the wound, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Where
no,
someone's
it's-
like, I like other people are like, I hate your face. Those earrings are stupid, and that thing in your nose is going to make sure you never have a job again. I'm like, I've had jobs my whole life. Prick. Like, I'm trying to not have a job.
No, yeah, exactly. No, I there's sometimes when like I will harshly comment on comments every once in a while, but like there's those comments like, for full disclosure, like when I started this, like my most viewed video, I was 30 pounds lighter than I am now, but it was also like almost 10 years ago, because again, I had to restart my channel, so the date that was uploaded was probably 2 or 3 years like after it was actually uploaded. And some dude was like, yo man, you gained like hella weight, did you get married? I'm like, the fuck, like what? Like, one, married, that's the problem. Is like, and I just responded to him like, yo man, life happens. Like that was it. Like very like vague comment, because I was like, what? Like, dude, like it's a 8-year-old video, it's got 700 something thousand views, it's very old. And yes, I was a lot skinnier then.
So was everyone
like,
10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Like who looks like I don't look like I was when I was 21 now that I'm 30, but like I don't think anyone does without like some help, let's just say. But anyways, like I was like, okay, but like also my audience is 97% male. Like I don't get why that's a comment I get regularly. Like, bro, everyone's going to have this problem. You're going to have this problem. Like, come on, you know?
Right. So let's talk. So one of the two things, like one is, have you developed a filter for that kind of stuff? I feel like what's interesting about YouTube as a medium is that it's a lot of like regular people, right? Like, you know, you guys didn't study broadcast or journalism, and then all of a sudden we become like quasi-public figures, but never got the training to deal with the public. Like, has that been difficult for you guys? Eric, you go. Or you're just like, no.
No, like my channel's not big enough. Like I've been recognized a couple times, but like my channel's not big enough to like have to deal with anything like that. And I also never like I'm not a polarizing person. Like I am, but like I don't make content. I don't make shock content. Like I don't make shocking content. I'm not Durian Rider. I don't like, you know,
talking shit on everything.
Yeah, like I don't like be like, I don't be like, all right, new.
Well, there goes our ad spot with him.
You know, yeah, like you know. Well, it just like I'm not like, okay, new S-Works bike. Also, like this woman is fat. Like I don't make content like that. So like,
yeah,
you know, when if someone sees me, they're like, are you Spindat? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, usually someone will continue with, this is weird. And I'm like, yep. Yep. Like, because no one's excited to see me. Like they're like,
it's that awkward moment. Yeah, because we're at this level of just like, you're like the 20th person I've been I would watch in a day, and like
they're
look
like
kind of familiar, you know, like it's GCN and like all these other pros and like people I like, and then it's like, you look like that one guy at the at the bottom of my like at the end of the day when I fall asleep at night, you know,
celebrities.
No, D would be high. Come on, it'd be like G
Zed.
or something, you know, G list celebrities that we are. Yeah, just be like, oh, I fall asleep to your YouTube videos once in a while. Yeah, you sound familiar. Yeah, I've been recognized once in a while as Locked In, but most of mine were prior as my previous name, Mike Spikes. I can't say that out loud because the chain will come and give me a cease and desist. But yeah, that's what I was recognized a lot more as that. I have been as Mike or as Locked In, and I've had like a few people like randomly, like I met a good friend of mine, Mason. I was at a local brewery, and he's like, his fiance at the time like looked over me. She's like, "Are you locked in?" I was like, "This is really weird. There's no girls that subscribe to my channel." She's like, "Oh no. My fiance loves your stuff." And he's like, "You showed me how to change a tire." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, like cool, like no big deal." And he like bought me beers, and I was like, "Yeah, this is awesome. This is like worth doing the video for at this point." So yeah. But like that happens very rarely at this point. But yeah, it does happen every once in a while. Vlogging in public is or like recording in public with people like riding by is the weirdest point for me.
Usually I'm like chatting, and then when I see someone at the corner of my eye, I'm like,
oh. Huh. yeah.
So
the worst, the worst is with the mouth GoPro.
Oh yeah, I don't do
like that. I do that because like, it looks cool, it looks rad. Like, but I'm just like, I can't.
I'd rather wear the chesty.
Oh, see, I'll wear. I'm like, I can't stop this. Like, I gotta keep going. Like, you know, like you have to finish the shot because you can't like. Yeah. But I get that. Yeah.
All right. Looks like Eric's falling asleep here. We'll wrap it up in a little bit. But so last question, or last thing to talk about. One of the, I think, interesting, I don't want to say challenges, but special tortures of being a bike YouTuber is, in lots of ways, it's a very kind of privileged job, so you almost feel bad about complaining because, like the first thing you can comment I'll get whenever I mention it on the videos, like, oh, first world problem, blah, blah, blah. But, I treat it like work. Do you guys have that sense too, where it's a little bit like golden handcuffs, where, you may have issues like a regular job, but you feel bad talking about it because you're a YouTuber? Or is that just me?
I think
it's starting.
At my pay rate or whatever you want to call it, no. Because I'm making less than what I'd make working at any minimum wage job at this point in a month. And I'm working as much or if not more hours. Like, I feel like I'm working more than I was my 40-hour job week, or 40-hour job week. And so I'm doing just as much, and I'm making half, if not less than half, most likely. So it is tough because it's not some like you show up to work and you have like a set schedule of like what I'm going to do every day. It's like, no, you have to like wake up and be like, I got to do this. It's got to be something no one's ever done before, ideally, or like I got to present it in a unique perspective, and then edit it and then put it out there and make a unique title and thumbnail and all this stuff that we're like, and it could flop and you could make less in a day than anyone else would. So it's not first world problems. It's very unique entrepreneurial problems because you have no idea what you're gonna be doing and if it's gonna work.
Yeah. How about you, Eric? Do you feel guilty about complaining?
Yeah, I mean, I don't complain. I'm sure we've done a little bit of complaining here today, but I don't complain about it that often. Like, I'm like, this is pretty cool. Things that have made me complain a little bit is like I just last month or so registered to be like a real company, and like it's like soon I'm gonna have to start like charging tax on like the things I sell, which I've never done before, and it's like some of that stuff sucks a little bit because like I'm gonna hire an accountant, and that's gonna be like there's an extra bit of money that I need to like set aside every month, and we need to worry about the taxes. This is the best year the channel has had. I wasn't paid poorly by any means at my other job, and Angela's a nurse, and she worked like mad this year. So we're actually concerned. We're like, now that sounds like a first world problem, but like it's such that we may be in the tax bracket where we paid all our bills. I didn't put any money away for taxes at all for YouTube whatsoever. She did really well, probably tax season, you know, we're gonna have a bunch of money we owe, and like I'm you know, I'm like, well, it's going to be September, you know, hopefully I just don't have a job and I do like really bad for the rest of the year to like really get a, like, you know, to fix this tax problem that I assume we're going to have. So anyway, that's kind of the idea with like those are the things but that's like first year entrepreneurial problems that like, I think any entrepreneur has, where you're like, oh shit, you know, it's amazing how quick a month goes by that I still didn't hire an accountant. Like, you know, we've been talking about it forever.
For sure.
And like 4 weeks just like freight trains by, and you're like, oh shit, okay, well, like I need to call that accounting firm that I wanted to hire this month, and then like you miss that day you were going to do it, and then you're busy and you're like, my god, another 3 weeks went by, like it's just crazy.
Yeah, accountant is key, and also like I don't know what the tax system is like in Canada, but we try to do like quarterly payments, so like, you know, we don't get hit with like a huge tax bill once a year. It kind of it lessens the blow a little bit. So pro tip.
yeah, pay your taxes. Like you should definitely pay your taxes.
All right, so I think I'm gonna take us home here because we're at like an hour and a half almost.
Part 1, volume 1. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Dang it, Zach Gallardo, if you're still in the room, you're supposed to be here, but hopefully we'll get you.
Hopefully he can buy earbuds this week. There's a GoFundMe in case. Yeah.
I'd like to revisit this again with Zach, because like Zach is actually one of the few channels I watch, and you know, he was an inspiration for me to keep making videos when I was at a low point. So I'd love to get him on ACN. So, but other than that, like any last words before I sign us off?
If you want to start making YouTube videos, do it. Definitely do it.
Yeah. And in the meantime, subscribe to all of our channels. And help us all. God damn it.
All right. So Zach says soon.
All right. Soon. Yeah. All right. Soon. Yeah.
All right. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this part 1 of how to be a bike YouTuber. I think hopefully we'll get Zach on soon. Trademark. And until next week, guys. Good night. Keep bikes weird. All right.